Hello, this is now our first little project we're gonna do. We're gonna be making a Rails application that responds or says hello world. And so we're gonna be doing this project, or I want to be going through this project as if you have no idea what any of this is. So I'll explain everything that there is. Alright, the first thing we want to do is we want to generate our project. And if I could find an analogy to what this generating, it's like a tent. No, that's a bad example. No, it's like, say, you want to build a car, or you want to build a little mini bike. To do that, it'd be a lot easier to go buy a kit, and the kit comes with all the pieces you need, and then you can just put it all together. So that's kind of like what generating the Rails app is. You're generating all the parts that you're gonna work with, and they're default every single time for any single app you make. So it's not you won't gain anything by not generating the Rails app and making it all yourself, because that just makes no sense, and you probably won't even know how to do that. So that's what generating the Rails application is. So we're gonna go in the terminal or command line, and we're gonna create a new app. But now I'm gonna teach you how to read the command line. It's pretty simple. So what you got right here, it says KimBoss admin. So KimBoss is just the name of my computer, and then it goes into the next part and it says admin. Admin is the specific folder in this computer. So if I go and I open up Finder, which is the viewable way of seeing all of this, which is what we're all used to, you see that if I go to this is KimBoss computer right here, and then I go, I think it's this one, and I click, no, it's not that one, users, there you go, admin. This is the admin folder that it's in. See, admin. So we go in here, but I want to go, actually, say I want to go a little deeper and I want to make it in one of these other folders, like, let's create a new folder, except no, let's create it through the command prompt. So this command prompt, where we are in this command prompt, is the same place as where we are in Finder. And we'll type in, so this is the command to make a new folder, mkdir projects. There you go, it's made it. So if we check out admin, it should be now somewhere here. There you go, look, AO's projects. That's what that does. Another command you could do in the command prompt is, say from the command prompt, I want to see all the different names of the files and folders in this admin folder. You type in ls, and there it gives you the names of every single file in that folder. Applications, Balsamic mockups, college, packet class, blah blah blah, documents, downloads, everything that's over here. And then from here, I'm still in admin folder. I want to go into the new folder I created, which is Rails projects. So the way I do that, this is another command. You type cd, and then you type the name of the folder you want to go into. So I want to go to Rails projects. And I click enter. There, I'm in. Now you can tell it says Rails projects right there. So it's the same thing as me coming here, clicking Rails projects. Now that I'm in here, I want to write. This is where I want to generate our Rails project. So I will type in this command, Rails. This is just no, whatever. Rails new. So you always gotta type, if you want to create a new app, you gotta type Rails new. And then for the third part, this is, it could be anything. This is the name of what you want to call it. So we can call this Hello World. And then you click enter. And there you go, it's generated all the files. And as you can see, in our Rails projects folder, we have Hello World, the Rails app generated. So I'm gonna now open up the Hello World folder in Finder because it's more visual. And if you want to do that in the command prompt, you can also do that by just saying, wait, we first state out all the directories, ls, it tells us Hello World, so we say cd, because we're trying to get into Hello World, Hello World. There we go, now we're in Hello World. Oh, and this is a command if you just want to clear your command prompt. Like, you don't want to see all this stuff on the top. You literally just type clear, and it clears out everything. Now we're in Hello World. And if I click less, it tells me all the directories that are inside, which correspond to everything over here, because it's the same folder. Now these look like a bunch of random files to you if you're a total beginner. But we'll go through every single file you will need to use, and I'll explain everything so you understand the function of everything we're going to use. So what we're trying to do is we want to have like the browser open up to something that says Hello World. Now this is a really simple thing, but to do it you got to understand some of the basics, and that's what's important. That's the point of teaching this. First thing we gotta do is we gotta go to the router. I'm not sure if I explained the router in the last lesson, but I'll explain the router real quick right now. The router is a file, so if we go in folder configuration right here, there's a file called routes. So this is the router, or our route, whatever you call it, and this is where we configure all the routing code. So if you open it up, this is what it looks like. Delete all this gray stuff, doesn't matter. And I'll go into that real quick. First I'm gonna do a drawing. So the router is the receiver of your website. It receives any outer requests of people who want to see your website. Yeah, this guy, same picture as last time. Sitting down on his computer, just give him eyes, smiley face. There you got his computer. He's on the internet, he's on Google Chrome, and he searches www.google.com. I don't want to finish writing it. So the browser sends a request to that address, www.google.com. Which then takes it to Google's computer, because this is a specific address, so it knows where to go because we searched in this address. And it takes us to this big computer. this big server. This is Google server. And so Google has a, well, they don't use the same language Ruby on Rails, but they have something similar to a router or a routes file that receives the request for the specific address. Now, one thing I gotta say is Google.com is not its only address. Google.com, it's got many variations. It could be google.com/maps. Now that's different than just simply google.com. Google.com is its home page, and then google.com/maps is, say, another different page. And so you got all these different possibilities, these different addresses under google.com, whether it be Google Maps, Google Food, Google Music, google.com/ whatever you searched in. It's got all these different addresses, so that if you search one of them, like say we say google.com/maps, the routes file will then match this address that is being requested, and it'll find it and say it's like right over here. It'll find it and it'll lead it to an action that will do the stuff like, find Google Maps, get the images, directions, and etc. And then it'll do all those actions based on that one request, and then it'll return it to the computer. So that this first step of just receiving and matching is the routes file. So that's what I'm about to show you. So in here is where we handle the different types of requests. Just to show you in real life. Say we click Google Maps. So look, that's the address we searched in. So if I copy it and I go to another page, paste it in there, and I search, I should get that same action, or just Google server should return the same thing because I'm searching for this address and it matches perfectly to an address they specified. There you go. So what we want is, we want our home page to say hello world. So yeah. So in here, well then, right, you're gonna have to not memorize, but this is what you need to learn. This is not really so much logic, it's more like syntax. I kind of forgot the syntax because I haven't looked back at it for a while. But so we want a page where users or someone can access a page and see something called hello world. So we can call this hello. Wait, one second. Alright, so what is this line of code I just pasted in? The first part, this part that says get, this is describing the type of request that is being requested. It's similar to if I said if I wrote letter, that would basically be saying this pathway that I'm describing is meant for a letter, an envelope that someone sent to me through the mail. That would be saying, like, that's like I'm trying to use a physical world example. Like if I say my house has a no, that's a bad example. This first part is describing how I'm receiving whatever this request is. So it could be, these aren't actual possibilities, but these are just trying to get you in the frame of mind. A letter, a written letter, email. I received a message from someone by email. I received a message from someone by text message. I received a message from someone by what is it? By a phone call. So that's this first part of this line is describing what type of request, what type of message you're receiving. And so this type of message is called the GET message. So now you're wondering, what is GET? I know what email is, I know what a telephone is, I know what a phone call is, I know what a letter is, but what the heck is a GET? In the programming world, or in Ruby on Rails world, a GET request is a type of request. This is something totally new, so you might kind of be scratching your head at what this is, but as you do it more, you'll get an idea of it, so you just gotta go along even if you're confused. A GET request is a request. It's a request from a browser, say Chrome, Safari, Explorer, etc. It's a request from a browser that is asking a server, a website server, for a web page, that is asking for a web page that is asking for only content. Now you're probably thinking, obviously, like, duh, why else would you search in a website if you didn't want to see the content on that website? Like we search in Facebook.com because we want to see that Facebook page where it tells us to sign up or to log in. That's why we search it in, because we want content, right? But on the internet, there's different requests that you send. You're not always only asking for content. Sometimes you're sending a request to a website, not just to see content, but to, say, put in your own content. Say you want to log into an account. By logging into an account, that's more interactive. You're giving them information. You yourself are giving information that they then take and process. That's not simply asking a website page for content. So, for some reason, that the internet of browsers requesting from websites is so that there's different type of requests. One of them is, we'll say this is the GET request. That's GET request, which is request from a browser that is asking a website for only content, for simply only content. We're only asking for a static page, for stuff that is not dynamic at all. It doesn't change. It doesn't depend on what we input. It's simply just we ask for it and they give it back. So, you searching in the Google homepage is a GET request. You searching for a YouTube video is a GET request, because you're only asking for information, or you're only asking for content. You searching a blog, that's a GET request, because you're just asking, I want to see the content of this page. Now, what are the different other what are requests besides the GET request? So then we got another request, and this is a POST request. And this is a request from the browser. Well, okay, wait, let me take this part. Because this is basically summary of every single request. We'll just put that at the top. And that applies for all the requests. Requests from a browser that's asking a website server, and we'll specify earlier for simply only content. Now for post requests, it should look something like this. Except the beginning would not be get, it'd be a post, because we're describing what type of format this request from someone's computer is in, and that's a post. So a post request. This is not just asking for content of a web page. What this type of request is doing is you're actually sending a request with your own information that is important. Like say you're on the Facebook login page and you put in your login name and you put in your password and you're sending it into Facebook and you're saying, hey, here's my information, now get that information, process it, and then based on that information bring me to a web page or return me content that is specific to that login that I put in. So you're not just asking for content that is the same every single time. You're giving information to a web server and asking for it to return a web page that that correlates to the information, which would be your Facebook timeline page or your dashboard where you see all your friends write stuff. And yeah, so there's I hope you understand the clear difference between a GET request and a POST. GET request, you're only asking for content. It has nothing. You're not sending in to the server any information of your own, and you're just asking for the content. Over here, a POST request, you're putting in information that you want to give to the web server, and you want them to process that information, and with it give you back a web page that has to do with the information you just gave in. That's a POST request. Now, the kind of confusing, but it's not confusing, is that this function of the POST request is sending information and having it get processed. The GET request can actually do that too, so it can have the function of a POST request, but the difference is GET request, while it can do the same thing of some person on his computer giving information to a server for a specific address, and getting a response that responds to the information I gave it to that specific address. It can do the same thing, but the difference is that in a GET request, none of that is private. If you do it through a GET request, you can see the response, you can see your own request, the information you put in on the address you searched in, or basically simply putting it, and a hacker can easily steal that information. There's no security behind it. They can just easily take it. But for some things that you don't need security for every single thing. Like say you're on YouTube and you're searching some kind of video on their search bar. That's not private content. I mean, it is. Maybe you don't want people to see it, but it's not that important that it gets security. So it doesn't matter if other people can see it. So in that case, you can use GET request. But in other cases where it's private and you need the information to be private, say if you're signing into your account and you're putting in your password, you can't have that without security. So that type of request to the web server has to be a post request. Has to be private and secure. It could be login. It could be you putting in your credit card. It could be oh no, one major thing, I can't believe I forgot. This is actually the major component of what makes up a post request differentiated from a get. Not only is it that it's private information, but many times a post request, you're sending in information, not just to get processed so that you processed so that you get a more specific response, but it's also and more importantly for when you're sending in information to a web server that you want to have saved in their database. Like, let's see, how do you say this? But it's also more important for when you're sending in information to a web server that you want to have saved in the database. So, just earlier I said the example about YouTube. You search in something and it gives you all this. So say I search in dogs on YouTube. YouTube then processes that and then sends me back some web page that shows all the videos on dogs. But the thing is, that can be that's a GET request because it's not private. Number one, it's not private, and number two, it's not number two, and even though it's number two, it's more important. Number two is that it's only processing the information. It's not actually adding any memory or any data into its server based on the content you give it. And if you're wondering when do you need to do that? When do you need to send in something to the server and have the server save it into its database? If you don't know what a database is like the memory of a computer. It's where it stores things. So one example is you're on Facebook, or you could be YouTube, and you want to post a video, you want to post a picture, and you want to have it online, you want to have it saved, and that stuff doesn't just when you post that's not just randomly suddenly saved in some place to the internet. When you send that information, you're actually sending it to that specific address, to that web server, and you're telling it, I want the information, this picture, this video that I'm sending into you guys to be saved into your database, because that's a function of your website. Facebook wants people to post stuff. So I'm sending in this picture, and it needs to be saved. It needs to be recorded in your database or whatever. And so the way you tell them that is by saying the type of request you're sending is a post request. So, summing it up, you use a post request when you want your information saved or when you want your information given private. GET request is when you're simply only asking for content of a page, or you're sending in information that's non-private and does not need to be saved in a database. Say if you're searching something in a search box or something like that. So I hope I explained that clear enough. I'm tired. And now we're gonna go to the next part. So now that I explained that, I'm just gonna delete this. And now we're here. So we're saying, alright, break time. That's part one. We'll come back part two real quick.